thinks that I'm pretty good at this, so I get the opportunity to do this frequently. But I wanted to introduce myself. So my name is Brian Nielsen, and I am the Chairman Emeritus of GBA. I was the GBA Chairman for 4 years. As many of you know, and many of you have been a part of GBA since its inception, this is a growing community. This is a community where all of us can contribute and help each other not only realize the potential of blockchain technology, but also realize on how we can collaborate together, not only from industry, but in government. So I have a couple of housekeeping rules here. Number one is this particular event, we are limited to just this floor, the second floor here. As you know, when you come in, there's a security guard that has to let you in. There is a check-in down at the basement. You should be always wearing this so that you don't have to be stopped and questioned. The other aspect of it is that if any of you haven't found the restrooms, they are immediately out the door to the end, so you can actually have it there. The other aspect that you need to be aware is that tonight we have an evening event, and only ticket holders will be allowed to go to the event. If you haven't made plans, are there any more tickets available? Yes, so if you haven't signed up for the tickets, this is an opportunity for you to do so. I will say this, and so I've been doing these conferences since day one, part of the very first conference. These social events are really where everything gets done. And so if it's something that you haven't decided to do, I would encourage you to step up and participate in the event as we go through it. The other part of it is that I want to remind you to be present. Oftentimes we get distracted. I know I'm always distracted. I have 2 adult male sons and their wives, and I see that they're always distracted by their phones. I would encourage you to be present and to kind of put the phone down for a little bit. Granted, yesterday was an election, but you can put the phone down and be present here. The other thing is that I would encourage you also to do something else, and that is to come up with a point that you would take away from each of the panels or the speakers. Make sure that you have an opportunity to write something down, because if you're looking for something, what you'll find is that the answer that you've been struggling with, a problem that you've been struggling with, can be a solution that others have resolved. There's actually a book, it's called The Medici Effect. I don't know if any of you have read it. The Medici Effect talks about this, where the collaboration of just many, many disciplines coming together sometimes has all the solutions that we're looking for. So I'm encouraging you to do that. Look for solutions, look for things that you should do. Now, some of these panels and some of these speakers have Q&A available. I would also encourage you to take a moment and to write down a question. So if it opens up, if there's sufficient time and it opens up for you to ask a question, you can ask a question that is not only relevant to you, but chances are relevant to other members here within the audience. So please do that. As a stage promo here, I do have the special opportunity to make a special thanks to Forward Edge for their sponsorship and dedication to innovation. Since 2019, Forward Edge has been pioneering AI technologies that enhance public safety, national security, and defense with groundbreaking work in cybersecurity, machine learning, and edge AI. And they are the driving transformation across critical sectors. We appreciate Forward Edge's unwavering commitment to progress and security. Now, I also am going to take a moment to say, I know Kevin very well. I've worked with Kevin for the last couple of years. We're going to introduce some people to you at one point today for the National DigiFoundry. So we're going to be talking about that. You're going to hear some speakers about that. And fortunately, I was a part of that, and I would encourage all of you, I'll be talking about this tomorrow, I would encourage all of you to join the National DigiFoundry. It is an experimental DAO that is being conducted by the Treasury Department, the Space Department. What is this? It's not the Space Department, it's Space Force. And you'd think I would know this simply because I have two sons who were both Marines. So not that Marines would know, but being aware of that. Anyway, with that, I want to start and say that one of the things that we also need to be aware of is that at the event tonight, there will be some rooms that are set aside for specific working groups. If you're invited to them, please attend them. If not, don't disrupt them if at all possible. And with that, what we're going to do is we're going to start with an access to capital markets, resources, and opportunities. But before I do that, are we ready to separate that? You ready? Great. So this will be a panel that will deal with access to capital markets, resources, and opportunities. Now, this panel explores diverse funding sources and strategies for emerging technology projects, emphasizing methods, best practices, and avenues to secure capital and resources. It's led by the GBA's Project Funding Working Group leader, Rachel Harris. Now, the panel will offer insights into accessing funding, negotiating complex financial landscapes, and building sustainable growth frameworks. Hopefully what you're going to get out of this is some practical guidance on aligning resources and entering markets and creating successful funded technology initiatives. Rachel, this is for you. Yeah. You can have them each introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rachel Harris. I am the lead for the project funding group with GBA. I'm very excited to be moderating this panel. I wanted to start off by saying to Dr. Stephen Melnik, who is the chairman for Lives Amplified, he was supposed to be here moderating and was unable to attend, but we thank him for his contribution and everything that he's been doing with GBA so far. And we look forward to working with him in the future. I'm going to go ahead and start with everyone introducing themselves, and then we'll do some questions for them to answer for the group, and then we'll have open questions for anyone that has something that they want to dive deeper into. Dr. Jerry Bell.
Good morning, Dr. Jerry Bell. I'm a former Army medic. Was able to graduate from West Point. I actually commanded the airfield here at Belvoir, so I'm excited about that. My doctorate is in organization development. I own a small business called JBJ. We are a professional services firm that provides system integration and change management training.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, there we go. There. Test. Oh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Piestrak. I run a small business called Levelscape Incorporated that works to establish marketing intelligence, business intelligence, and artificial intelligence across small businesses and public sector areas. And I'm here to help share the information regarding how nonprofits and grant opportunities can help any GBA member's business.
Well, good afternoon. I'm Barry Johnson. I'm with the National Science Foundation. I'm part of the Directorate for Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships at NSF. It's a relatively new directorate. My responsibility is the Division of Translational Impacts, which is home to our Small Business Innovation Research, Small Business Technology Transfer Program, the I-Core program, which is an entrepreneurial training program. We have an open source ecosystems program that we operate, an entrepreneurial fellowships program, and others. Essentially, the bottom line in our division is we're trying to stimulate the translation of ideas out of the research lab and into the market.
Thank you, everyone. I want to start with you, Dr. Johnson. If you could give everyone here some insight on what would be beneficial for them to interact with NSF the easiest way, or to find a starting point in working with you all.
Well, great. I'm happy to start. As I mentioned, small business innovation research and small business technology transfer programs are, one of the programs that we run at NSF, and that's a program that is federal government wide. Any federal agency that funds a certain amount of extramural research at universities or other places has an SBIR and STTR program. We focus ours a little differently. Some agencies use small businesses to conduct research. What we are doing is funding startups. So we are really looking for technical innovations that are brand new ideas that have been developed, but they have technical risk associated with them that needs to be mitigated in order to turn that technology into a marketable product. And so that's our sweet spot. That's what we're looking at funding. Over 90% of the companies that we fund are getting money for the first time from us. So these are brand new startups, typically a couple of people around a table with a great idea and a great vision for moving that into a commercializable product. And so we fund approximately 350 startups every year. Over the course of a program, the life of the program, the company can receive a little over $2 million in funding. We take no equity. This is a grant, so it's not an investment in the company. It's funding of R&D to help you develop the idea and move it into commercialization. And so in terms of getting engaged with the program, we try to make it really simple. Everything starts with what we call a project pitch. That's roughly 3 pages where you describe your technical innovation, what the opportunity to commercialize it is, what that product would look like if you could solve that technical problem, what your team is composed of, the people and their backgrounds and so forth, and your vision for this company. So it's 3 pages. Based on that, we either invite a full proposal or not. But we're trying to make it easy. I know as a startup, the second best answer you can get when you're trying to get funding is a quick no. The best answer is a yes, but the second best is a quick no. And so we're trying to let you know immediately if it's a good fit for the program. The other thing that's important is that we do fund all science and engineering areas that are served by NSF, and that's essentially all science and engineering areas. The only thing we do not support is clinical trials. That we leave to NIH and other agencies. We don't support clinical trials, but we do fund everything across all of the science and engineering disciplines. We have about somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80 companies that are in the blockchain space. So we have a very big portfolio in blockchain. And so you start with a pitch. If you're invited to a full proposal, you can get up to $305,000 for an initial phase 1 project. And then if you are successful and achieve a phase 2 project, that's $1.25 million. And then there are other supplemental opportunities along the way. One that I'm quite proud of is something we call the phase 2B. That's trying to help you stimulate private investment. So you can get up to $500,000 from NSF if you can get an investment or other sources of non-federal dollars coming in that total $1 million. So it's really trying to stimulate that first investment. And again, we're not taking equity. We're simply funding you through a grant mechanism, but hoping to get private sector investment into your company. So that's really the objective, is we want to take you from start to private sector, taking it over and moving it further along. But it all starts with that project pitch.
Thank you so much. Daniel, can you help us understand some of the things that you've learned, how GBA members can utilize nonprofits' access to unique funding?
Absolutely. Just because a GBA member is working with a for-profit entity doesn't mean that they can't take advantage of the nonprofit ecosystem. So these nonprofits have various things available to them, like up to whether it's $10,000 in Google ad coupons a month or free technologies, so that any GBA member that can find a nonprofit that is aligned with what they're doing. So there's a nonprofit for everything, almost. So which we can help you identify through these various strategies of how you can find a nonprofit to work with. But once you do find one, those benefits can be really easy to activate. Just setting up a web page on both sites that how you're working together in a clear and transparent way to align with that nonprofit's programs. They can begin sharing things like, Microsoft licenses, Google licenses, and there's just things that can not just help lower costs, but add those easy wins that can help make the business operate a little bit better and also make it more attractive to the public.
Thank you. And Dr. Bell, can you share with us some of the things that GBA members, projects that would be viable when they go to apply for SBIR and how they tailored their proposals?
Yes. So I got really excited when I learned about NSF's projects because they're not specific. They're based on a topic. And then what I got really excited was when I found out about GBA and all your subject matter experts. So we started that journey. First thing I did is I went to the NSF website, which is really organized. It tells you how to even do your pitch. It gives you opportunities to do webinars with some of the subject matter experts, so you can start meeting them. So we attended a webinar. We learned more about the pitch process. Through some of the GBA members, I submitted 4 pitches, and 3 of them got accepted. The challenge that we had was we didn't have a full awareness of what the letter of support was, and so we didn't submit the proposals. Just recently, I partnered with a university. They invited me to be part of their diverse vendor pool, and my project was to work with the students. And the reason why I share that is I'm not really an IT guy, although we just got into a DoD Mentor Protege program where it's going to help us increase our IT abilities. So I was able to partner with a university who they're the #1 recipients of these NSF grants, and they let me work with their students as part of a project. So the benefit to the students was they got a real-world something they could put on their resume that was of high value, going after a nationally recognized grant, being part of that process. We structured the weekly meetings. We did Scrum meetings weekly, so it replicated what an IT company can do. And then we learned more about the whole pitch process. So I explained how do you organize the pitch, how do you go for more information, and then what are the instructions so you can follow a good proposal. When I graduated from the program, the president said, "Hey, Jerry, if you get your pitch approved, we'll help you do the proposal." So unfortunately, the first pitch didn't get accepted. But the cool thing was NSF gave me feedback. And then I reached out to another GBA member, Paul, and he helped me fill the gap. That pitch got approved. And then they gave me another batch of students who then helped me put a proposal together, which we're finalizing now. The reason why I say that is there's no reason why nobody else in this room can do that. It's a win-win. So for the students, it was a win-win. For the university, it was a win-win. And for my company, it was a win-win. So we're really excited about that. Through that journey, I want to share something else. The SBA has these centers. They're called FAST centers. They're funded to help you go through the process of putting a pitch together, putting your proposal together. So what I did over the last year, I registered my business so I could participate with that entity. Those entities are all across the country. So So I found out, went to the website, found out who there was in Illinois. And through that process, I send them emails when I have questions. They respond. They even have webinars that are available that they teach you what to do per phase. And then that's a good point of reference so you can be smart about what you're doing. What I've learned with the government is there are great grant opportunities, but if you don't put together a compliant, responsive proposal, you're not going to be one of those 350 to get awards. But the cool thing about NSF is they do give you feedback, not only for the pitch, but also proposal. So it's a good investment of time as long as you have the right opportunity. And the other thing is they will tell you no, but they'll tell you why. And then you make that decision, do I need to adjust or do I need to repurpose and enter another pitch? So we're really excited. We want to be like Zimba, who was a award recipient. We're disabled veterans, so if we get something that's commercializable, they could sole source that work to me for a long time. And for veterans that are out there, not all of us want to go to work for someone else. We want to work for ourselves. So what another great way to find an opportunity where you can create a solution that a lot of times when you're out in the field, you're like, why are we doing it this way? We have great ideas, and NSF's a good way to present those ideas and get it funded so you can start your business. So that's my feedback for SBIRs.
Thank you so much. Gerard, are we going to have Dr. Ann's video to present for this? I'd like to do it right now, if you could. We want to present, Dr. Ann is not able to be with us, and the focus of her introduction she's providing is ways that GBA can help connect members with investments. Thank you.
Distinguished guests, it is a privilege to speak with you in my capacity as GBA board member, WBF USA chairman of the board, and co-founder of the World Smart City Economic Development Commission. The World Business Angel Investment Forum aims to support economic development by making it easier for businesses to access finance, creating novel financial instruments, increasing financial inclusion, introducing new markets, and connecting investors with startups and scale-ups. WBF is affiliated with the G20 Global Partnership for Financial Inclusion. It interacts with leaders in business and politics to assess needs and establish goals, engaging with public and private institutions at a local and international level. GBA is our trusted partner in the United States. Both organizations are dedicated to accelerating deep tech entrepreneurship, focusing on blockchain technology and other emerging or frontier technologies such as AI, digital twins, quantum, satellite internet, or 6G. With our combined networks, the GBA and WBF span over 80 countries, representing a powerful engine for blockchain innovation, providing access to key resources, mentorship, and a pathway to international success. Recently, our participation in several international initiatives, such as the EU SHACE program that promotes blockchain education and training, as well as our vital role in the Internet Governance Forum's blockchain standardization effort, and our collaboration with the World Smart City Economic Development Council to promote deployment of our blockchain maturity model in smart cities, have been increasing our international visibility. These types of global initiatives complement the important effort accomplished by our GBA working groups and continue to attract new business partnerships as well as significant global investment interest, creating a fertile ground for blockchain advancements. We invite you to join us in our mission to strengthen and grow this robust blockchain-powered entrepreneurial ecosystem. I would like to highlight the important work done by our project funding working group, where we support not only blockchain entrepreneurs with government grants, but also with angel investments, venture capital, and other funding opportunities. We assist our members at every step, from the design and development stage to commercializing and scaling at a global level. Join us. Together, we can build a more innovative, resilient, and interconnected blockchain-powered entrepreneurship and business ecosystem, driving changes in legal and regulatory frameworks.
One of the things that the project funding group is doing is we will have an onboarding form that will be on the GBA website, so anyone can go in there and select whatever categories within it that they want more information on, and we will be able to connect with you. I think that the efforts that working together, sharing lessons learned, if anyone has a past effort, investments, grants, anything that they want to share with us, it would be valuable for us to have details on what experience you had, and it might help us to fine-tune the things that we share with members as new opportunities come up. So I really would love to have anyone connect with us on a past experience, on things that they're looking for, new opportunities, and really help us make this a robust working group. It's been amazing the strides that we've made so quickly, and I'm really excited to be working with all the people within the project funding group, and I look forward to working with all of you. I want to go ahead and find out if there's any questions that anyone has out here that they'd like to ask this panel.
So, Dr. Johnson, you mentioned NSF has funded about 80 startups in the blockchain space. How do you evaluate any new startup in blockchain against those 80, in the sense if there's overlapping capabilities or just some exact features for new startups that are coming and applying for the grant?
Yeah, I guess a couple of comments on that. One is that the first thing that we're looking for is a technical innovation. So it has to be a new technical idea that has not been previously accomplished. And along with that, we're looking for something where there's technical risk. I mentioned this pitch process. We get about 12,000 pitches a year. And we invite about 40% of those, 35 to 40% of those, to actually submit a full-blown proposal. And the most common problem that we see is that someone has a great idea, it's a great product, but there's no technical risk that needs to be mitigated. So there's no R&D that needs to solve a problem to enable that product to be created. And that's really our niche. We're not trying to compete with investors that are putting money in after you've got your product idea and you can do it and there's a market. That's not where we're trying to fit. We're trying to fit into that private sector investment where the private investors would not put money into it because it's risky from a technology perspective. So that's kind of the key that we're looking for. And certainly across that portfolio, in some cases we fund that technical effort before you even know what the market might be for this. You just know that you've got a great technical idea. You know that it would enable you to create a market, but the exact market or the exact segment is a little unknown. So we don't necessarily look at trying to just fund one in market A and one in market B. We're looking for that technical innovation and helping mitigate that risk that's going to come along with that. The other thing I'll comment on, I really appreciate Jerry's comments because our biggest problem that we have is that our program is very competitive. So we have a lot of disappointed folks. I mentioned the 12,000 pitches. We invite, roughly 3,500 to 4,000 proposals. So 60+% are being told no based on the pitch. And then once the full proposal comes in, we have enough money to fund about 15%. of those proposals. So we're funding 300 to 350 phase one proposals every year. So we have a lot of great ideas. We have a lot of proposals that just get phenomenally good reviews, but we just don't have enough to fund all of the really well qualified proposals that come in. And then, phase one is the starting point. There's then a competition for phase two. If you succeed in phase one, you submit a proposal for phase two. That can get you up to $1.25 million, as I mentioned earlier, but it's somewhere in the 30 to 40% success range for phase two. Even though you might have done a great job in phase one, we don't have enough resources to fund all of the great proposals that come into phase two. And so it's really competitive, and to be honest, I spend a lot of my time talking to disappointed people, and so that's something that's really hard for us, but it's something that we have to do because we have a limited budget. The last thing I want to mention, if I can take just one more minute, one of the things that we're really sensitive to is how much work is required by the startup to propose to us. Because, a startup company doesn't have an office of sponsored programs like a university might have to help prepare a proposal. So we're really trying to figure out how we can minimize the effort. The pitch was one, so you get a no without having to write a, 20-plus page proposal. But this year we launched a program called Piestrak. And what Piestrak allows you to do is write one proposal, and it enables you to get all of that $2+ million. At least you don't have to write another proposal to get it. You get $400,000 at the start, and if you succeed in the first phase, it's still a phase structure, you then open the gate for the remaining money. But that gate is just a presentation discussion with our program directors. It's not writing yet another proposal and waiting 6 to 9 months to get an answer based on a review. So we're trying to make it easier, and we're trying to eliminate any potential gap in funding between the end of phase one and phase two. This Piestrak program allows you to eliminate that gap, because certainly running out of money is one of the key challenges that a startup company has. So.
Thank you so much. Well, my question is back to the research and development piece. So there's many great ideas out there, and probably maybe every idea is a great idea, but the technology risk, how is that actually defined from an NSF perspective? My engineers would tell me maybe 5 features of my technology risk, and I don't really believe that's the risk because I'm not an engineer. And then how can we define that in our proposal? How can we mitigate that? That's pretty much my question. Thank you.
Well, it's a great question, and the technology risk is really, I have an idea, I have a technical innovation, but there's a problem, a technical problem here that has not been solved yet, or I have not demonstrated the solution. So it's really looking for an unsolved technical problem. I have this vision for a product, but I have to create this new semiconductor device in order to enable that product to be created. So it's really looking for an unsolved technical problem. I mentioned the pitch a lot. What we see a lot is that all people really need is money. They know how to do what they're going to do. They know how to build this hardware. They know how to write this software. There's no unsolved technical problem. They just need money. That's not what we're focused on. We're looking for an unsolved technical problem that we can fund you to solve that will hopefully enable the product to be created.
If I could jump in. So when I submitted my pitch, it didn't meet that technical definition. So what NSF did was they gave me some other questions to answer that then helped me figure out if this was really a high risk that qualified for what they wanted. I think that might help you through the journey. So submit your pitch and then see what feedback you get back, and then see if you can address that question that they're asking you for.
I have a question, and that is with the election yesterday and the potential change in administration and the potential change in funding sources, do you anticipate any budgetary restrictions or expansion to the programs that you're talking about?
Well, we are, NSF reports in through the executive branch, and so we are, the director of NSF is a presidential appointee approved by the Senate. And, Congress gives us our budget, and we have to live with it. That's kind of the bottom line. And so we have seen great growth over the years, both in Republican administrations and Democratic administrations. So we have strong, strong support, really bipartisan support. The other thing I mentioned CHIPS and Science. The CHIPS and Science Act actually created the Directorate for Technology, Innovation, and Partnerships at NSF. And it authorized large amounts of funding. And Congress has only appropriated a relatively small amount, but the authorization step has already been completed. That's in the CHIPS and Science Act. And if those authorizations were appropriated, the directorate that I'm a part of could be seeing a 2 to 3 or 4 times increase in the level of funding for these types of things that are accelerating translation from lab to market, advancing key technologies, stimulating partnerships, and the like.
Yeah, and if I can add on to that quickly, as budgets are changing, while we've been talking a lot about the NSF and SBIRs, the first step to applying and going through that process is to register your entity with sam.gov. And for those that aren't familiar with that, that's also a requirement to access grants.gov. So there's tons of government agencies out there that are looking for innovation and for different things that the private sector is doing that would love to fund those opportunities. And just by registering, you can kind of access this search engine and start seeing, what's available. Is there stuff in energy? Is there stuff in healthcare? Is there stuff with land? Any particular working group that's brought people here, from even security, there's grants in all of these categories, and anyone that fills out the project funding form, we'll do our best to do a little research for you based off of what categories you're interested in, whether it's government grants or nonprofit, like I mentioned, but trying to figure out what those could look like. But registering your entity with sam.gov and just to be able to access those searches will really answer a lot of the questions about what the total budget pools are for those categories.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I would like to asking Dr. Johnson. I'm Long from Vietnam Blockchain Corporation, founder, CEO, and we help to grow the ecosystem in Asia, and now is APEC, the GBA also. But one of very big issues from us is the barrier between the language and the presentation. So almost the good idea will fail from the first round already. I knew that, and we saw that. But do you have any solution that, because they are good, not just only the technology, but also the idea, but they could not present the right way with your style. And do you have any solution to help them, then train them to become the very good startup for your organization or for your program? Thank you.
Yeah, and maybe we can perhaps talk afterwards as well. I want to make sure that I fully understand the question. One of the programs we have, which I think touches on what you're getting at, is a program called I-Core. I-Core is an entrepreneurial training program. NSF started this program in 2012 because what we were seeing was that a lot of startups coming out of universities were failing. I mean, startups fail, but a lot were failing because they created a product nobody wanted. So they had not defined a value proposition that aligned with a market need. And so what the I-Core program does is takes a team of 3. There's an entrepreneurial lead, which is oftentimes a student that wants to create a startup. There's a technical lead, oftentimes a faculty member that knows the technology. And then there's a mentor, somebody that has done it before that's going to help guide this team through that process. And the goal is to use customer discovery to help you define a value proposition for your idea and your product that aligns with a real need in the marketplace. And so what we require now is for our SBIR companies, if they have not already gone through I-Core, we require them to go through I-Core, because we find that that product market fit is a real gap between an idea that might be the greatest technical idea in the world, but it doesn't necessarily fill a need in the marketplace. And so you don't have paying customers willing to buy it. So that is one of the training elements. We have about 130 universities across the country. We have a university in all but 3 states right now, and we're trying to fill those in as well. But we have universities that deliver this training, not just to students and others at the university, but to those in their region as well. So it's something you can access even if you're not affiliated with the university. So that's one example that I would offer that I think is really important in terms of aligning your idea with a real need in the marketplace.
Rachel, I'd like to thank you for this panel. I think just incredible information. I do want to ask you specifically, if somebody does snap that QR code, and I think you might be in the way because I think some people can't actually get it. There you go. But if you snapped that QR code and filled out the form, can you talk? Can you guys talk a little bit about what has GBA done already in terms of working with people to get funding, like ecosystem grants? I know that there are some working groups who've done some stuff there. I mean, Jerry, maybe talk a little bit about the stuff that we started doing for the Department of Commerce stuff, and Daniel, some of the research that you've done to help people. But if you can talk a little bit about if somebody sort of starts the process, what have we already done? What are the things that we're going to do? I know it's new, but just share a little bit about kind of that workflow and what's been done and what you're planning to do.
Yes, I'm happy to talk about that. So within the working groups, we've focused on some ecosystem grants, and the members within that working group, anyone's welcome to join any of the working groups and touch base and find out what projects they're working on. But the ecosystem grants are taking capabilities of specific members within that group, or if one's necessary that may not be inside of that working group, they'll invite them in to come in and be part of this proposal put in. We've done one for the land titling group. One is being worked on within gaming, and there is one that's going to be started within the voting group. It's a great opportunity, and if you're part of a working group and want to look at an ecosystem group grant, we can go and find something and see what is most relevant within the capabilities that are put together there inside of your team, and work together to submit one of those. And Jerry, did you want to talk a little bit about some of the things you've done?
So we're currently trying to gear up a working group where we're working with, again, the University of Illinois. However, the spin will be tying them with HBCU. So the cohort will be a blend of HBCU students with University of Illinois students, driving them through the pitch process where we present a challenge that's from the Defense Health Agency, and then they'll put a pitch together for us. And what we're trying to do there is create a framework that other GBA members can follow. It is about translating that value proposition, but also how do you identify customer pain points, identify current capabilities, and then where's that gap, and then using that information to present your pitch. And that's what we're trying to share, not only with GBA members, but also increase those capabilities with HBCUs, because University of Illinois has figured it out, and we want to share that with other populations.
Daniel, did you have something you wanted?
Sure. So as people are filling out those forms, as Rachel mentioned, we're working with them to look up what kinds of grants are going to be, interesting for them, whether it's these government grants or ecosystem grants or the nonprofit ones. We've had a few members apply and get the $10,000 Google ad grant money per month. That's it's 120K a year of ads, so which can help with those nonprofit marketing campaigns of letting people know how you're partnering with them to make the world better. And there's also some, through those nonprofit partnerships, technology grants like free Salesforce licenses, AWS credits, and also like free copies of Salesforce. There's all kinds of great freebies to kind of grab from that nonprofit direction. But definitely now we're starting to explore not just the ecosystem side, but what else is available on the grants.gov for small disadvantaged businesses, women-owned businesses, and what other kinds of categories for grants that might be available as well.
Just a couple of comments about ecosystems. We have a couple of programs that we've started recently that are focused on creating technology ecosystems. And one is our Regional Innovations Engines program. This is a program that we launched a couple of years ago now, but we funded the first 9 of those Regional Innovation Engines recently. And we have others that are in the planning stage. But a Regional Innovation Engine is really trying to move the things from use-inspired research, so it's kind of A to Z, use-inspired research all the way to societal impact. And so the engine has to have a technology focus. They have to have a regional focus that can be a subset of a state, or it can be a collection of states, but it's regionally based. And they have to have a societal impact as a focus. But they really are trying to, move these ideas from the lab to the market. And these are large awards. They are up to 10 years, up to $16 million per year. So it's a large activity. We funded one in regenerative medicine. We funded one in clean water. We funded one in energy-related areas. There's one in semiconductors. And so there are a handful of these that have been stood up, just getting off the ground, just finishing their first year of operation. So that's an innovation ecosystem activity that we're supporting. We also have a program called POSE, Pathways to Enable Open Source Ecosystems. What we're trying to figure out is what are the different pathways that an idea could go from lab to market. It might go lab to startup company. It might go lab to license to a large existing company. It might go lab to a standard. It might go lab to an open source product. And what we hope to be able to do is to create these pathways that will enable ideas to flow from lab to market, regardless of the path that they might take. So Pathways to Enable Open Source Ecosystems is funding the development of the ecosystem for an existing open source product. And so those are a couple of examples of ecosystems activities that we're supporting and want to grow.
Thank you for sharing that. Definitely interesting and exciting news for everybody. We had another question.
Yes, hi, thank you so much. Out of the 15% projects that you select, out of the 12,000, right, you select 15% of those. Do you distribute those in these different programs like the Fast Track, I-Core, POSE, or Regional Innovation, or this is a separate, it's a separate program? And if another question tied to that is, are they only based on innovation, or you also select based on diversity, women, projects, and things like that?
A lot of my comments have been focused on the SBIR program. That's where we fund startups. and that's where the pitch process resides. So we have a pitch and then an invitation to a full proposal, and then we fund about 15% of the full proposals that we receive for a Phase 1 award for the SBIR program. For the other programs, we have proposal submission dates throughout the year for most of these programs. It's still very competitive. It's very rare for us to be able to fund more than 20% of the proposals that come in. So, for example, the Pathways to Enable Open Source Ecosystems, there are multiple submission dates throughout the year. You send in your proposal. We review it based on its merit using external experts to do that review. And then we make recommendations or decisions on the awards. For the I-Core program, the hubs that I mentioned, we have 13 of them. Those were competitively awarded, merit reviewed, and so we call it a solicitation that requests proposals, and then we review those and make decisions on the awards. Now that we've funded those hubs, we have an I-Core Teams program. That's where we actually fund the teams. And so universities will submit proposals for their 3-person team, and we award up to $50,000 for that team to help support them to go through that I-Core training process. And so it varies from program to program. I'm happy to, if anybody wants to, contact me. I mean, my name is B.W. Johnson, Barry W. Johnson, B.W. Johnson. NSF allows only 8 characters for your email ID, so it's B.W. Johnso. The N is lopped off, but bwjohnso@nsf.gov. If you'll send me an email, I'll make sure you get pointers to the links and the pages that describe all of these programs, and happy to provide that. So I do want to make, I noticed that Anna just came in. Anna Brady Estevez is one of our SBIR STTR program directors. Anna really created our blockchain portfolio. So she's, in fact, she should probably be up here talking about this. So, but it's good to see you, Anna.
Thank you, everyone. And I recommend that everybody stop by the project funding group room at the reception tonight, and be certain to also check out Bernie Allen is going to be at the STEM room, and that will be talking about scale-ups and some startups. So touch base with all of us and share any questions that you've had between now and tonight, and come and talk with us more about all these opportunities. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.